Morning, guys. I'm gonna read this documentation I made. I put it in a notepad file, and yeah, I know my hair looks like hell. It doesn't matter. I don't care how I look. I got up just a little bit ago, and I've been slugging around this morning. That's awfully comfy. Put you in a damn coma. Cookie, quit knocking that bowl around. Just drink. Cookie! What'd I just tell you? Quit sloshing that water around. My carpet stays wet because of him and this one right here. So damn knucklehead. I want to tell you how my story of how I got off my asthma medicine and my sleeping pills with my doctor's blessing. Yeah, the story started back 2012, 2013, and then before that, 2011. I've tried a few random things. I've known about ginseng and stuff since I was a little kid. A good portion of whites could trace some of their genetic factors back to some degree to native populations. Go figure, huh? At least a good chunk of white people have some degree of native hair mix in them. They either don't know it, or they don't claim it, or they don't care. Funny, isn't it? Anyway, I just thought about that for a little bit because this kind of plays a little factor. Native Americans have used ginseng for a long time. Well, from time to time I would occasionally decrease my intake of red meat unless it was grass-fed. Try to increase my intakes of healthy fats like fish, coconut, nuts, avocados, olive fat, whole milk kefir if it's made from grass-fed milk, grass-fed butter if I can afford it, raw or lightly cooked vegetables, largely eliminated white sugar, replaced it with combinations of either raw honey, stevia, and monk fruit as a sweetness for drinks, or if I'm going to cook with it, muscovado or sugar, because of the molasses content still in it. The only refining they do is like they just crystallize it, granulate it, like you cook down the sugarcane juice and then granulate it. It's still like a moist molasses seed smelling sugar. It's not bad. Cook with it. Or sweeten a little bit of it in your coffee. I've known about it since like 2011, 2010, 2011. I've known about Ganoderma lucidum since then, but since 2012 and 2013, I would take very occasional on and off doses of Ganoderma. Red ginseng and goji fruit. And I've known about that and its Native American relatives since childhood. The ginseng, anyway. And I've heard about this fruit called the goji fruit, and the guy who supposedly lived back more than 200 years, supposedly. I'm very skeptical of that. Since back in 2006 when I drank goji berry pomegranate green tea until Celestial Seasoning stopped selling it with the goji fruit in it. Then in 2014 I've shown the image of the man according to the legend of my mom, and he did die in May, around I think month of May 1933. His name was Li Qing Yun. He was a very badass martial artist. That was true. The age, and he did live that diet, but the age factor is what makes me skeptical. But the martial artist, Tai Chi, the Baguazhang master, and stuff like that, that was genuine. But the age thing, I'm skeptical of. Still. Can you blame me? 197, one coward, and supposed records claim that he's from 1677 going to 1933, 256 years old. I'm a skeptic of both ages. Now I can imagine him living over 100, but damn, a little sketchy. You know what I'm saying? We have a 122-year-old woman and a dude in Russia, is it like a Russian Muslim family or whatever? I don't know, something like that. He's supposedly 122 or something like that. Supposedly. Sorry. Anyway, so there was that. Since the last part of 2014 and the whole year of 2015, I've included doses of He Shou Wu that's been processed to and the way they process it, it's got to be properly processed. To properly process this Chinese Chinese knotweed, Fallopium multiflorum, in the raw state, taken enough, it's toxic to the liver. But in my experience, well, you got to process it. From what I learned, what they do with the process it to make it more consumable is they take black soybean broth and black soybeans and rice wine, and they cook the living shit out of it. Process the hell out of it for days, easily 36 hours, easily. And it becomes more antioxidant, less toxic, due to a series of chemical processes that happens when they cook it in that specific way. The chemistry changes and toxic shit breaks apart, and nutrients form or build up as a consequence, and that's kind of the chemistry from what I've learned about the He Shou Wu. About it, that's as far as we know, scientifically speaking. As far as I know, and then that's where the claim of its super tonic property claim comes from, plus the centuries and centuries of them actually using it, and the early documented since what, the 800s or some shit, AD, I don't know, it's old. And I've also included Schizandra berries or Wowitza, Gotu Cola, and omega-3 fats like krill oil, extra virgin cod liver oil, and virgin fish oils if I can find them, or just straight fish oils, along with increased combinations of the reishi or lingzhi or Ganoderma, ginseng, and goji. The three names I said, the Ganoderma, lingzhi, goji, reishi, and the Ganoderma, lingzhi, that's the reishi mushroom. It's a lot of I could give you references on examine.com, but this ain't for you to talk to. Just talk to your doctor kind of thing if you going to take this seriously. Now the last of 2015 and this year I've included aronia berries. I prepare the supplement myself when I get the money to get it. I also add edible algae when I can afford it on occasion, along with astragalus to my supplement system. Plus, with the intention of testing a few more hypotheses and adding Dr. Mercola's core supplementation system like ubiquinol, the krill oil, a multivitamin. Testing ideas given by Dr. West, the dentist and nutrition researcher back in the 20s and 30s, Dr. Weston A. Price. He discovered that, humans are omnivores. We adapt to different things, like Like the First Nations originally were paleo, like were fucking paleo, carnivorous, high fat, moderate protein, ketogenic diet, and they were able to adapt to it, and they lived their whole lives on it because they adapted to it. Then you go down to the Andes Mountains or whatever, you know, the high mountains in South America, descendants of the Mayans and the Incas and shit. You see those people eat animal food, but they also eat a lot of produce. They eat like quinoa and corn and other things like that, and you know, vegetables, chili peppers. They eat shit like that as well, but they still eat animal food. You look at the blue zones of the earth, they eat like 65% complex, slow to metabolize carbs, and they eat certain ratio of fat, and then a certain ratio of protein, like on top, as a result. Like 15% of one and 20% of the other, to go with the 65% the complex, slow to metabolize carbohydrate. But it's a 95% plant food, 5% animal food ratio. This still includes seafood, grass-fed dairy in a couple of areas, and red meat on like 5 times a month or something like that. You can go look at Dan Buettner's, when he found out in Discovery Channel, his years of research in it. And you're going to and then what you find out by Weston Price when he traveled the world and discovered this shit. This is kind of human nature. We're omnivorous super predators. Kind of fucking obvious. So that kind of debunks a lot of the things that vegans try to be vegan proponents, including physicians who are vegan proponents, you know. So I tested, and this kind of system worked out for me. And I also don't drink milk as much anymore. I'd rather make it into yogurt and stuff like that. It makes the proteins separation, for some reason, it makes it easier for me to assimilate, plus the probiotic density if I drink kefir or something. Goat's milk kefir would be a hell of a lot easier to drink, digest anyway, than cow's dairy. I have a certain casein, unless I take some kind of digestive enzymes in conjunction with it, then it's a lot easier to assimilate. And it's just a casein sensitivity to it. It's a mild level of a casein sensitivity in cow milk is what's the deal. Because lactose intolerance would instill diarrhea. But yeah. One time, and for 2 months, I think one of those years, for 2 months, I was trying to get my asthma medicine to be called in. So I hit that Ganoderma like a son of a bitch. I drank it as a tea, took capsules for those couple months, and I was starting to have wheezing, a little cough, but I was like, you know what, I'm hitting this shit. Cleared it up for me. So it's my immunity's getting regulated, I hypothesize. There's possible evidence to that, and for what I found. And some testimony seems to be consistent with it, like it's a mildly homeostatic type of thing. And I'd also increased my mineral intake, and I stopped taking my sleeping medicine 2014 due to how it would elevate my heart rate every time I woke up in the morning, and that's not good. That's not a good thing. Now, the first time I tried telling my folks about it, I got argued with, like they just they didn't believe me. I just didn't want to take it, and I was just being an ass about it, and I met resistance. Now when I told my doctor I was going to try to request a private talk with him in a separate room to explain this shit. And then I was chastised, like, what are you going to say? And I'm like, so I got resistance there because, isn't family lovely that way? I can say that because it's true. I have a few cents of entitlement once in a while, can't I? I think we all can once in a while. It's not understanding is what it is, but it all comes from the not understanding and not empathizing, which not everybody's able to do that well. Anyway, that's what happened, but then they finally gave in and just listened to me after I hammered them enough. So, alright, and that's what I would have told him that part, but I said, fuck it. If he has an idea, be like, what the hell? So I said no. But I did tell him everything else. I told him about the 2 months I didn't get my Advair in because the pharmacies were dicking around, and stuff like that. And I was very pissed off about it. I told him I was pissed. They wouldn't ever doing that. When we called you to call them in, they didn't do it for 2 months. I was pissed off. And I told them about the sleeping medicine, not the resistance was met with at first, but I told him straight up I quit taking it because I weaned myself away from it and then stopped taking it altogether by 2014 because of my heart rate changes. And he said, all right. Now I showed him some of my black bean rice wine processed He Shou Wu to him, which you can get. And I told him you have to cook the living shit out of this in that certain way to make it safer. I take it in conjunction with milk thistle and nettle root. That's a good combination. It works for me. And the ginseng, reishi, goji is a separate thing. And the others like the astragalus, schizandra, aronia, goticola extracts. That's like if I were to do that, I would probably have I'd put it in a homemade in a capsule in a paste with krill oil and cod liver oil and stuff like that. And I would take that paste as in a capsule so I wouldn't be able to taste the shit. And I would do that as a 3-4 supplement system. I also added Ganoderma, a little bit of Ganoderma as well on my around 2015. In 2015. And this is my story. I told my doctor about all of that shit by the time my last checkup with him, right? At the last of 2015, the checkup got a physical with him. And yeah, also increased my vitamin K2 intake. And I noticed that I did these things. I noticed some of my teeth don't hurt like they used to, and some of these cavities in my jaw, on my bottom jaw teeth that I actually had started showing up, stopped growing and slightly shrunk a little. Slightly shrunk. I was a skeptic. I was like, why? How is this possible? Why is it happening? So I tried to look into studies of Edward Mellenby and Weston Price, and I looked into other studies, and I was like, Menaquinone not only has the same properties as phylloquinone for the blood clot homeostasis, but it has other properties too. That must be why Dr. Price called it Activator X when he tried to get it out of... Soy natto seems to have the most abundance in it out of all the foods. Secondary would be certain animal products that are, if they're grass-fed and if they're made properly, which intrigued me. Didn't realize. And getting enough of the minerals to assimilate all together. That's what I've learned, and I'm like, damn. My doctor gave me his blessings and everything, and that's what I had to do. And you got to talk to him about doing this shit if you're going to do it. And that's what I did. But I didn't do it like a self-diagnosis thing. I just did it as hypotheses, and I said, well, what if it's going to do this or is this going to do that? And I want to show you a little something real quick. I want to show you these new hair follicles come up on my head. You see that? These have only been there since January of 2015. I got new little... See that one? That's a brand new one. I'll be damned. And I got new little, very tiny ones showing up around this edge here. And that shocked the shit out of me. Because at the time I had bad nail breakage and my skin was looking dimmer. So I took a hair, skin, and nail supplement on top of what I was doing at the time. In 2014. Or no, it was January 2014 or whatever. Or no, it was 2015, whichever. I think it was about, yeah. It was around that time. So that was the summer. It was the January of 2015. Yeah, it was the January of 2015. And these new little hair follicles came up as a result of what I've been doing, and I don't know why. I guess maybe I have the type of genetic predisposition thing that I got from my mama's dad, because he was real thick. When he was skinny, he was broad, thickly built for even when he was skinnier. And You know, if you saw my grandpa's World War II posters and shit. And yeah, some crazy shit, because it gave me an idea, because I might have the androgenic, what's the damn term? I'll type it in the description. And that's where it came, and I explained that to my doctor. He's like, that's probably possible with what you've told me and what you've experimented on yourself with. That's what it told me. That's what kind of what it is. So it makes sense. And this is a fucking MD, a licensed MD, and he's a good general health family doctor. And I give him high ratings. His nurses when they give you a shot, you know, they don't hurt. You don't even feel them. It's like they're amazing with their work, you know, and I give him high ratings for that. And he is reasonable. But if he finds anything contrary, after you tell him to look into something, recommend him to look into something if he's willing to, you know, then yeah. The only things I don't believe in are homeopathy or acupuncture, unless it's like electroacupuncture. Then I might be able to see it's a type of electrotherapy on the nervous system. It might have some degree of an effect. Not quite electroshock, but small amounts of certain voltage of electricity at a certain voltage, at certain frequencies or whatever. That might do something, but I'm not fully certain. I mean, there's a whole book about shit like that. That struck my curiosity, but I can't afford that book because it's rather expensive as hell. But yeah. But yes. I still no evidence, and there's no evidence of homeopathy either. And yeah. I've made my own homemade toothpaste, and I noticed it makes my teeth whiter a little bit. And I still got to brush them this morning. And I went, that little tooth there, it's not broke off or anything. It just came out that small. I went through 4 sets of baby teeth in my life. I was one of those freaks. This hair had every hair color palette in the genetic hair color palette on the damn human race. I was one of them fucking freaks. And and also sometimes I'll take Tulsi, like holy basil, and go to cola together, or Bocopo Monieri, or however you pronounce it, with Tulsi. And I've heard about Tulsi, first heard about it in certain chai recipes. One of them was like gone. It's like off, I couldn't find it again. I'm like, shit, it was years ago. But I only tried it like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know, it's like, I've tried it about 5 years before Dad died, I think. I used to go see certain relatives up north of me, and I was introduced to chai through them. But I started making it on my own, real simple, cardamom, ginger, black tea, whole grass-fed whole milk, like Organic Valley. Then I can easily assimilate that more easily. It's so diluted and it's easier on me. And then the digestive spices help as well. I'm assuming, but it's just a good drink. I like to drink it. So that's really my talk about how I got off my asthma medication with my doctor, and sleep medicines off of Risperdal and whatnot with my doctor's consent. With my doctor's blessing as well. He said, keep doing what you're doing. Keep testing shit. I said, don't worry, I will. He said, yeah, and it's amazing because a lot of people act like, I mean, I'll have to make a rant video about what I have to say about, like, medical advice rant video in the future, which I have a script for, and I will give that to you guys eventually. I will see you around. You take care, everybody.